Hello, welcome everyone. Today is Wednesday, February 8th. This is the regular monthly meeting of the Southwick Agricultural Commission. The meeting is being recorded. We have in the room myself, Bert Hanson, Zach Barnett, Ron Cicchini walking in, Lenita Bober, Marisa Cook-Oberdon. Online, we have Sage Fury. And we have several guests.
Okay.
There's always-
Lenita just joined.
Well, Tammy's on that.
Tammy just
What's
joined.
that? No, it's okay. So that's good. We have a forum. We have several visitors. Thank you all for coming. We and we also have Dan Cook. Practically full house.
Good time.
See. Yes. This, and one more thing here too. Sorry for the little confusion here. Dan, did I give you a copy of an email printout?
No.
Oh. Okay, we'll just have to.
Did you send it to me, email?
Yeah, yes.
Oh, I got it.
You
Because
did?
I,
Okay.
because I figured it out and it all came up.
Okay. Okay, that's good. So, we have the required section for public comments. As you know, we generally take public comments, you know, throughout the meeting, but does anybody have anything right off the bat that they want to bring up? Excuse me. In the room or on Zoom, anyone? No, okay. So our first task is to approve the minutes of December 14th. That was our last regular meeting since we had the forum on January 11th. Folks, a minute to get to look at those.
Did you get one? Oops. You got my agenda.
In the meantime, I can have an almond joy.
And you can sign that if you want.
Okay.
It's full signature on the front page, initial on the second.
Yeah.
Did you get the minutes? Yes. Okay. Just initial
Anywhere?
on the side where they give the totals,
Okay.
the two totals for each week. Just initial,
Okay.
somewhere near there.
I think I got it. Could it be more than one page?
Yeah,
Yeah, second three.
No, I've got mine.
okay.
Anybody have any updates, changes or edits to the minutes?
I didn't see anything.
No,
Want to make a motion, Zach?
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Okay. Bert Hanson, aye. Zach?
Aye.
Lisa?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Lenita?
Aye.
Sage
Oh,
Aye.
and
I
Tammy.
passed around
Aye.
the signatures.
Okay, now first. So,
Just before you try to start the fun stuff, there was some mail. Some of the letters that you sent out were returned. Oh, okay. Because of.
I'm updating you.
And we got the budget, what you have left in the budget. Okay. Here's that notice.
yeah.
Yeah, he's got,
Talk to Robin Sola and stuff. Still submitting. So.
that was all for mail.
So first time we need to reach the Farmers Forum. Still on cloud nine. Almost everybody in the room is. That'll be a good start. 30 people. Based on that. So any side this one with notes and we also have flip charts, and so this is a sort of this is a kind of distillation. Two of the big things. Farmers want something like this, and also want slide. Grant writing, sensitivity, session.
Few people are saying on Zoom that they can't hear anything. Am I speaking up a little bit? Like 3 people have said they can't hear.
They can't hear it all
Or they said they can barely hear.
or can, okay.
Or they hear everything.
So,
Wait, just a minute.
so anyway, Farmers want support from the businesses to session. Based on raise your hand if you like those meetings. Guess what? You did. So, guys, do so businesses, library, that's resources, conservation of land, conservation, succession, website, so experience. Good news is some of that stuff is already happening. We talked about regular presence, just Southwoods. An article about the forum that's going to be in the Southwoods. Yeah. And they also did, monthly feature. Like Tuska, and then This is the kind of uploading. Library director is in there and so. One of the things actually was stops is suggested that we element commission. So I went to their meeting on Monday, small. Some- Also, I you probably went to gaining ground for farmers, I think. They recently had a 4-part series, succession planning. So we can attend 3 of them, there's 11. I want to try to, they're all recorded, 2 hours. So it's kind of a time commitment. But I want to see if we can get them to come here and give some highlights, you know, to folks who are interested. One, it's, as I'm sure any farmers in the room know, succession planning is very complicated with, you know, there's land, there's equipment, there's livestock, there's taxes, there's, you know. So it's very, so it's not, so succession planning, I said several times, it's not an event, it's a process. And they suggest 5 to 10 years before you want to retire or sell the farm, 5 to 10 years. And one thing that kind of stuck in my mind was they're talking about, okay, so here's a farm family. They want to talk about succession planning. So they sit down together. They're in the kitchen. The dad sits where he always sits. The mom sits where she always sits. And the kids sit where they've always sat since they were in high chairs. And they try to think up new ways of doing things. You know, not going to happen. So you got to, you know, go someplace else and get someone to help you. So hopefully, as I said, we can try to bring them here, follow up on that further. Excuse me. For the Open Farm Day, we've been talking about that for actually a couple of years, you know, during the pandemic. We want to model it somewhat on the one that they do in Granby, Connecticut. They just have an opportunity to get people to the farms, promote farming. You know, several of the farms have retail stores anyway. So maybe some farms don't normally have retail. So we want to build that in and have it be, have the farms participate to the extent they're able to, you know, in terms of staffing and all that. So we've thought that like the end of August might be a good time. And again, we've kind of gone back and forth. I think there should be a kind of a central place where people go, get a kind of a passport type of thing that we can stamp as they go around to the farms. Maybe have a farm market type of thing, maybe even have, you know, stuff for families, face painting and, you know, wagon rides and stuff like that. And so we could do that at Wally Park. Wally Park is available all 3 of the last Sundays this August, the 13th, 20th, and 27th. And I'm thinking a Sunday, maybe a 12 to 4, you know, churchgoers can go to church. Well, I do, you know, it's going to be an event, but I think we should start small. So let's say 12 to 4. Sure. And I'm thinking, you know, Sunday, August 20th is, it's kind of, in my mind anyway, it's kind of between vacation season and school start. So does that sound good? How about, you know, Dwight and Jessica and other, Alex, you think would a Sunday, August 20th be a time that you? Yeah, might be doing, I'm not, you don't have to commit right now, but I'm just saying, does that generally sound?
Well, I have to do my harvest day, so I don't know how available I'd be, but yeah, I agree with the concept.
Okay. What, I'm sorry, what's that?
I was gonna say maybe check and see if there's a race that day at the track, because that might be a little louder and distracting, musty.
That's a good point. September at Wald Park is very busy. Dave Sutton has his one call away veterans event. There's one of those. It's not mud wrestling, but you know, it's one of those things where people crawl around in the mud. Yeah. So want to stay away from September. Plus, it's a busy time at farms too.
Yes. I have a question.
Yeah.
Just about the general idea of having an event separate from what's going on at the farms. I know we've gone back and forth on this.
Mhm.
I'm just wondering kind of like the rationale behind that, because for me, when I think of an open farm day, it's really about driving people to the farms. And I think, this is just my opinion, but adding another component to that, it has a nice community sense, but I wonder if it's just another thing to potentially make people skip a farm and go there instead, unless there's going to be representation there from all farms. It almost feels like it might detract from the idea of
Yeah.
getting people on farmland and seeing how farms work. I guess what's our aim in this? Is it to drive people to farms, or is it to create a general atmosphere of agriculture and celebration of that? Because I feel like in that case, we're kind of riding on the coattails of the farm parade that's organized by the Civic Fund. And then that might be a slightly different tone of event. But I think we should just be clear and define what we're trying to, what our aim is here ultimately, and then kind of based on that.
Yeah. Well, all of the above. Certainly get people to the farms. I mean, that's the main thing. But I think if we had some kind of event
Right,
to just promote farming, and maybe some of the farms that don't have a retail store might have a
They have like a little farm stand there.
farm stand kind
right,
of thing.
right,
I think it's possible that people might go to the event and not go to the farms.
right.
I mean, you know, anything's
Right,
possible.
right.
And we can hand out like maps or something. So they
Oh,
know
for
which
sure.
farms to go to.
Yeah,
Right, right.
and so, I mean, if we have the date, I mean, it's easy
Right.
to set the date, and we'll be talking about this a lot. Because there's gonna be a lot of coordination.
Well, that's
make
what I'm
this happen,
thinking.
you know?
I mean, I wonder if we're almost going to overwhelm ourselves by adding another component, because the way we had discussed it and some of the feedback we got from farmers in the past and at the forum was the liability question. If people are going to open up their farms, even if they have a retail store or not, you know, I think they'd want some sort of support there in form of a volunteer from AgCom or maybe from another land board commission, somebody who's on hand to just kind of make sure the event goes smoothly there, you know, if they're doing tours of it. So in that case, personnel wise, I'm thinking if we have somebody from AgCom or even volunteers here, go to a farm and kind of just support the farmer that day, we're gonna be a little stretched thin in terms of personnel at a separate event. So maybe the first step is just kind of assembling a team of people who can commit to this one way or another, and then based on that, see how far we can orchestrate a separate event or not, or maybe we focus more on a separate event and we don't drive people to farms as much, and then that way we don't need to be at the farm supporting the farmer while they're doing their work and giving a tour, in which case I think we shift away from open farm day. It's not really maybe gonna be called open farm day, and it should be called something else, which is fine, but personnel I think is important.
I went to the Granby one last year and I didn't see anyone from any commissions at any of the farms I went to. They were kind of all on their own. But I mean, the business they were having that day was
Yeah.
incredible.
I think there's a table at all of them, and there's the farmer there, and then someone from either their AgCom or the land trust.
Yeah, I didn't see any,
Just kind of, yeah.
but I mean, I didn't go to every farm, but.
Yeah,
Some of them had it together more than others did.
right,
but,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly. Like some of them don't have very many people at all, and it's just the farmer
Right.
themselves,
So
like
we
they've
probably
been
have to
doing it.
analyze each farm first and.
Right, right.
See how we'd help them, so.
Right, because they usually do have a table there with candy at all of them, as well as their flyers, if they're gonna have. Because that's the thing, if we're gonna have like a stamp thing, then you need a volunteer or commit the farmer to stamping the passport or
Yes,
something.
They sort of had that going on in Granby. Some of them knew about it.
Some of them didn't, yeah, some of them didn't participate. When I went to one, like, it was just the landowner
Right.
and a little kid went up to get his stamp and
They're like, what are
the
you talking
old
about?
farmer was like, I don't know what that is. Like, just
Exactly,
walk around the
yeah.
trails. And that was, I mean, that was great, but you know, you gotta make sure you cover your bases, I guess, so.
You have to have a
I
packet.
think the one thing I'd like to add is when it comes down to this farm day, because it's the first one, we definitely don't want to overdo it because we don't want a bad impression since we're starting out. So I would definitely say, let's focus on one thing. And it doesn't mean that we have to have just one event that has everything in it. We can also have a little farmer's market afterwards, say the following week, for those who can't participate. Now they have another opportunity to actually do that because maybe they don't have a farm that they can show off, or maybe they are shorthanded that weekend. So they have another weekend to at least show what they do grow at a little mini farmer market. I mean, let's not try to throw everything in one shot. Let's see if we can break it up a little bit. That's my thought.
Okay,
What's up?
possible.
I agree, yeah, just remembering what the tractor parade used to be like and all the moving pieces to that, that was a lot of
Yeah.
work, so.
Right. Well, that was another thing that came up at the forum too, was could there be an event at the end of the tractor parade? And tractor farm parade, tractor, whatever. And I guess there used to be the first couple of parades, there was a farmers market type thing at town hall. I
I think
don't
there was
know.
music in Prithee Park after the
Oh, that's what-
parade, yeah, there's some food vendors, yeah.
Okay. Well, good input. There's a lot to kind of chew on here, as we set this up. I mean, it will be a kind of an all hands on deck kind of thing, no matter how it goes. And I'm gonna try to strong arm the Conservation Commission into participating as well, since we've done things with them.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and another idea was to have a farm trail kind of in other, parts of New England. There's wine trails, there's museum trails, and we already have our farm brochure that needs to be updated. But we pretty much got, I mean, it's got a map in it. I mean, we just need to sort of reposition it as a farm trail and maybe some signs at the farms. Right.
Yeah, we could just take that graphic and
Yeah.
put it on one sheet of paper and say it's the farm trail. Easy enough, so yeah, that can be done really easily.
And then there was one other thing, so there's a fair amount of discussion at the forum about, bringing younger people into farming, education around farming. In fact, there's no farm curriculum in the Southwick schools. And Lucas and Dan already started some research about future farmers of America. And I'm wondering if you guys could sort of continue that with the schools in the area, like Smith Vocational, Westfield Tech. Is there a school in West Springfield that has some farming? I'm not sure, I might be remembering incorrectly. But can you guys continue looking into that type of thing?
Is it Northampton has one?
Yes.
Well, it's Smith, right?
Smith Folk.
And there's a,
Smith, which is in Northampton.
Yeah.
It's near
Suffield,
Cooley.
Suffield has an ag,
Hospital.
Suffield, Connecticut.
Yeah, Suffield's FFA
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
and, just find out what they offer, who's eligible to go, how long the program is, does it cost anything? I'm not sure it costs something.
Someone something.
Yeah, it costs somebody something. And there's one, I have a daughter who lives in Boston. We were driving home kind of on the local roads recently, and there's in Walpole, Massachusetts, there's the Norfolk County Agricultural School.
I've been there.
Yeah, known as
I've done work there.
the Aggie.
Yep.
They go, yeah. So maybe, I don't know if people want to go to Walpole, but it might be interesting to see what they do, and kind of see what we can learn, from there. And if you guys could have that by Monday, would that be good? No, no, no rush at all.
Be done Sunday,
Last Monday.
just before Super Bowl.
Right. Okay, any other thoughts or follow up on the farm forum? I mean, again, I thought it was an awesome.
Are you planning on doing any more of those?
Yes, I asked folks at the forum, hey, should we do this again? And didn't get much of a response. And I said, well, we want to report back to you guys, and everybody started nodding. So, so yeah, we want to do it again, definitely. And some of the, the follow-up emails were, oh, I should mention this, but follow-up emails, some people have said, hey, if you do it again, I'll be there,
Yeah.
And that's another benefit of that event, is that we now have 14 or 15 of the farmers that came, signed up and said, yeah, send me, put me on your email list, and Maurice's working on that. So, yeah,
People had ideas like they wanted to expand on, would they just email to you,
sure.
like a suggestion box type thing?
Yep, for sure.
Mhm.
And when we got the website launched, we'll have that kind of, a chat box, for lack of a better phrase, on the forum and on the website.
Just as a matter of open meeting, if you're going to speak, you need to announce who you are.
Christie, 8 Mine Road, topic.
Thank you.
And sorry about my voice here. What was I just gonna say? The AgCom has like all the town departments have an email through Outlook. I tend to use my personal email just because I like it better. So that's, it's going to be coming from Bert Hansen at Comcast.net most of the time. Just easier.
Mr. Chairman, I have a couple updates from this list from the Farmers Forum
Okay,
that I can provide some numbers on at least. So the t-shirts that we discussed, I got a quote for them. We can produce them at $8 a pop, and that would be the Right to Farm signage. And these are the t-shirts as a refresher to fundraise so that we can do all these things that we are aspiring to do. So it's $8 a pop. Anything larger than an extra large, so XXL, or is it XLL, XXL, sorry, would be $3 additional. So that order is ready to place. Production time would be about 3 weeks, if that. And again, that would just be the design that we already have for the signs ready to go. And I know Linda graciously offered to sell them at the farm. So I don't know what we'd like to do on that, if we want to
okay,
sit on that, maybe until we get our budget. I'm not sure.
yeah.
I want a shirt.
Yeah, can you show it to us, the design
Oh, it's just the Right to Farm, the one that's on all the,
The
on the
signs.
sign?
Like that sign?
So that's on
Yeah,
the
cool.
back of the shirt? or
no,
front?
that'd be like on the front of the shirt. I mean, it can be on the back of the shirt.
Yeah,
The quote is for just one side of the shirt being printed with that design, so we can put it on the front, we can put it on the back. Right now, when I sent them the photo, or rather the image, the design, they had just scaled it, so that was in the front, not too big,
mhm,
but kind of like taking about maybe a quarter of the size of the front of the shirt, kind of center in the middle, so.
hmm. Do we need to vote on this expense?
It all depends on where you're getting the money from.
Right. Good point. I was gonna bring that up, because we have a budget and we have a gift account. If we're gonna be using this as a fundraiser, I think we want the money to go back into the gift account, right? So we should
I
we should
agree.
buy it with money from the gift account. So Jean, you're saying in that case, we don't necessarily have to vote on it?
We should,
Yeah, we should.
Doesn't hurt.
but how many and
Yeah, how many do we want to start? I mean, there's no minimum, so it's a friend of mine that's producing it, so it's kind of, special hookup, so we don't need to have a minimum.
Oh, there's no minimum? Oh,
No, she's
really?
not giving us a minimum because she knows it's for.
okay,
kind
okay,
of,
so we want 6. No, just kidding.
How much money do we expect?
Pardon?
How much money is in our gift account?
Yeah, how much is in our gift
About
account?
$1,000, right?
it's a little over 1,000.
Yeah,
It's about 1,200.
We get 10 of each size, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, 50 to 100 of them at least.
I was
So you
gonna
make
say
it
at
to-
least 50 to, you know, have a decent range of sizes,
And
right?
if-
I mean, like.
And if it
Feels
works, we'll have money to
small
get 50 more, you know?
Yeah,
Right,
and we'll
right.
figure out how many sold of each one, so we can plan accordingly next time.
Right, right, and if we have any left over, they can be sold at this open farm day
Yeah.
as well, I'm thinking, so.
Now, not to throw a wrench in, but I'm kind of, I have been kind of picturing, you know, Southwick AgCom. And then the image on the back.
Oh. I guess, yeah, I don't know, what do folks think? Would you wear a shirt that says at Southwick AgCom? I think in that case, we should probably run it by. I don't know, because I feel like it's like putting the name of a commission on, like. At that point, are there any like legal ramifications at that point of having people walk around with the name of like, when you walk around with Southwick Select Board on your shirt, like, you go to a meeting, you know, like. Just wondering, like, to be safe,
I
like,
don't think it's an official thing, but
Yeah,
yeah, because we're commissioned, I mean, these signs are like on the road, they're on state highways, but they're. According to DOT, they're at the discretion of the community, so there's no standard or uniform design, like Southampton designed their own sign, Southwick did, so it's not necessarily like. A town property, the sign per se, in terms of the design, it's kind of, it's flexible in that way, but maybe the name of a commission. Might be a little different, but if you think that,
Alex Griffey again, what if you did the town of Southwick seal on the front and that right the front and back?
we could. I think the price will go up because that's
Yeah, it's
screen
showing
printing on
two
both
sides,
sides,
yeah.
so it probably would increase a bit, But if that's what folks would like to see, I can get numbers for that.
yeah, let me hold
I
on.
would say get the
Yeah.
numbers just so we know what our options are, full options.
So tentatively, how big of a design on the front, because that also kind of has a bearing on. How much work is entailed, would it be a large, like just writing or like the town
But you'd be putting that.
sign, like
yeah.
Alex said, or?
I mean,
Same size.
Maybe a little bigger than the patch on his shirt.
Oh, yeah.
Do people know what
Like
the
the size of-
AgCom is in the first
size of
place,
rods.
maybe?
I don't know.
They never know, but
People
once-
come, but I'm wondering if they're gonna see that.
Once they start seeing these t-shirts, they will. Yeah, I don't know. Well, can we just get the other price, and I mean, the additional, what the additional cost
Sure.
would be, you know, just so we can think about it a bit.
Sure,
And it's only 3 weeks to produce them, so that's not.
yeah, it's really fast,
Yeah.
It's not t-shirt season yet anyway.
that's-
right, exactly, so,
But it always.
If you want, I can always try and play around with making maybe a tagline of AgCom or whatever examples that we could even look at. You either like them or you hate them, but I can at least make something so that way you have just some kind of visual of what we could do.
fine.
Unless you want to keep.
No, I'm open to design collaboration, less work, so let's do it.
All right, good. Well, thanks for getting that going.
Sure. Let's see.
Let's see, so. I was thinking in terms of that. You know, legality, so to speak, so, you know, the master plan has the Southwick 2040 shirts.
True. Does it say Southwick, like master plan on it though? I think it just says our logo,
It
right?
does, yeah,
Yeah,
mascot.
yeah.
Okay. Jean, did you have?
No, are you done with this or do
Yeah,
you
yeah,
need?
yeah. So lots more to come on the forum and the follow-ups. The next on the agenda is the request for public land, purchasing some property in town. Well, we have a map where that's located. This is complex. It's property that's owned by a corporation right now, and trust for public land is in the process of buying that property for something like $2 million. And what they're trying to do is the New England Scenic Trail runs along one side of the property. So what they're doing, much like as has been done with the Appalachian Trail, they're trying to buy property to protect the trail. So that it stays open. Sorry,
How much land is there there?
you know, I should know this, but.
Good,
I
good.
don't.
It's a good chunk.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
about 200 acres.
Yeah.
Wow, good.
Oh, 200, okay, yeah. And so, as I say, it gets complicated. The Trust for Public Land is a kind of a middleman kind of thing, middle person, where once it's purchased, it's gonna come under the auspices of the National Park Service. And it'll
Okay.
be managed locally by the Mass Division of Fisheries and Wildlife. So, as I say, the land is currently owned by a corporation. There are some ins and outs that, you know, about the future use of the land. But if we start looking into all that, it'll slow it down.
Right there.
And then it could be bought by the highest bidder. And it could be houses, you know. There, because, you know, we're, Honor Lawler is a woman who is our contact with the Trust for Public Land. She's pushing Fish and Wildlife to keep it in agriculture. It's leased now. But to be totally honest, there's no guarantee that it's going to stay in agriculture.
Have they ever done that before?
This is the first piece on this trail.
No, I'm just talking in general.
Yeah, I'm
Have they
not
ever kept anything
sure.
in agriculture after they bought it?
No, I don't know. So a vote locally to support this, you know, would be good, you know, in terms of potentially keeping agriculture on the property. But they can't guarantee that it will be. It's possible that Fish and Wildlife will want it as wildlife habitat. I'd love to see it stay in stay in agriculture, but on the other hand, I also think that habitat's better than houses, you know.
Absolutely.
So I don't know.
Dwight, I'm Dwight Arnold, by the way. Yeah, I talked with the Honor Lawler, because I own the parcel across the street there. And the person who rents that, with growing tobacco there, he brings his tobacco over to my side to put it in my shed, you know, because the way that farm, there used to be one farm, but now it's in two different landowners. So, you know, it's, I kind of would like to see it remain, you know, with him in there. But through my discussions with her, Fish and Wildlife's not gonna do that for that fellow, because, well, you know, it's tobacco, you know, so they kind of don't like it for that reason.
Yeah.
And she had told me that they don't really have a good track record of, you know, renting out land to farmers and stuff, but they want to see it be a bird sanctuary or something like that. Which, you know, that's their goal, that's what they do. And, I tried to work out some deal with her where I said, well, I could buy the piece, sell them the piece in the back for the rail trail, put the rest in the APR or something, and they could keep farming it or something. She said, well, the landlord's not gonna go for that, that's gonna delay things another year or stuff like that. But, you know, like I said, it got delayed to the point where Fish and Wildlife said, oh, this is taking too long or whatever, you know, then that would give me the opportunity to approach the Colgrove or whatever they call themselves now, the land trust that owns it, and say, hey, I'll give you the money and we'll split it up this way and everybody be happy. But I don't know if that they're gonna do that. I mean, they've already got an agreement with them. I mean, why talk to anybody else?
Yeah.
You know, that's the situation.
And they're going through, an appraisal and surveying.
All these types of things, that they have, this type of company, they got a whole list of things to do.
So there's no precedence then in past scenarios like this where, you know, they don't look at this as inevitably still open space, even if it is farmland? Like, is their definition of open space that narrow that it has to be a bird sanctuary or some sort of, I don't know, something fitting in line with their definition of what natural open space means?
Well, aren't they the same people that have the, I call it Farm 20. It's the old Colebrook piece right on the Southwick, Massachusetts line there, right off of Fab Road.
Yeah,
And that was the farmland there, and they just got it, and it's a bird sanctuary.
Right.
Or open space. And they just, let the trees grow up, and that's what they do. That's what their, what's the word I'm looking for? That's what their mission is, their mission
Right.
statement, whatever you want to call it.
Right. It just is like strange though, because the trail right now, it's a hikeable trail with that farmland nearby, you know?
Yeah,
So it's
it-
like
it never would
ultimately,
change, you
nothing
know?
would change, you know? And we are a farming community, so it's like, they're not recognizing that, it feels like, or taking that really into account in terms of the local economy too.
Yeah, I think this Honor Lawler, I mean, she would just as soon keep it in agriculture and rent it to this guy or who's currently renting it. But she's just the conduit to get it to them,
Right.
and then they decide what to do.
Or Anita.
I'm just, my concern would be is if they did turn it into a bird sanctuary, would they then try to limit what you could do on land contiguous to it?
I don't know how they could, I'm across the street and everything, I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with the property, but you know, there's a one dirt road that leads up a hill and you don't even, I didn't know that farm was there until I was 35 or so, you know, I mean.
Is this the-
And then the rail trail, I mean, I've never even seen, well, I think I've been on it once, but not from there. You gotta hike through the woods in order to get to that trail from that property, you know, I mean. You can, yeah, you start at the Route 57 and you can, that trail goes right along there and all the way up to Proven Mountain, I guess. But from that farmland, well, maybe people walk across there to get to it, but I don't see any trails there or anything like that.
It borders Cavalaris?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, you do have to, you don't even know it's there if you don't.
Yeah.
We walked it, Jeff and I walked it one time.
Mhm.
It was way too rich for our blood, but,
Yeah.
so, but yeah, you don't know it's there if you're
Yeah.
not. And,
I don't know, maybe Lenita and Dwight, is there a crop other than tobacco that could be profitable there?
Well,
Any idea?
I suppose, you know, you could, what's up for, as a hayloft or something, somebody would hay it or something.
Would that even get started?
But they really don't need the money, from operating that. That's not really important to them at all. Yeah, they said that the barn would have to go, you know, they have to take.
That's a big barn.
What?
That's a big barn,
Is it
isn't
what, a
it?
tobacco barn or?
Yeah,
200 feet by 32.
yeah, that's a big.
Is it a historical building?
Probably not.
Down
Yeah.
They said they would move it if somebody wanted it.
No, she asked me about we'll sell it for $1 if you get rid of it. I mean, if they would let me rent it, you know, or let other fellow rent it, then I would move the barn forward.
Right.
You know, that would be a good deal I would make. I don't know how open they are to something like that.
Yeah, and much like when the town acquires open space, they don't want buildings, you know,
Yeah, it's a liability.
it's liability, you gotta maintain them, you know, so kind of the same thing with these guys, they don't really want a building.
Yeah, over there in Baton Rouge, there must have been 20 sheds there when they, at one time, you know? They got rid of them.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Did Lawler, Honor Lawler clarify the change of the name from New England Scenic? To
Yeah,
New
it's-
England Scenic from Metacomet Trail? Is
Yeah, the trail as a whole, because it's under, federal auspices, it's referred to as the New England Scenic Trail. Locally, state by state, it's still the Metacomet Trail.
Right.
And in New Hampshire, it's the Monadnock Trail.
Right,
So it's kind of, it's both.
yeah, I've always seen it as Metacomet hyphen Monadnock,
Yeah.
like, kind of describe the whole thing. Yeah.
I think we should table this. What I'd love to see would be us to have a vote to support it, but if it's 4-3, that's not really, and maybe we don't want to,
I mean, it's our mission to keep farmland,
Fine, yeah.
Right.
so.
And they're not the closing, they're thinking it's gonna be April, May, so. Originally, when they first started, they came through the Conservation Commission. And late last year, they came and met with the select board, we took a hike up there and looked around. And they thought at that time it was gonna close in March, but now. The surveying didn't start when they thought it was going to, so it's gonna take a little bit longer. So we could get some answers to some of these questions. And bring it up again at our March meeting.
That sounds
Yeah,
good, because
'cause
you said they wanted like local votes on this, right?
Yes, right,
So
right.
maybe that could sway something, I don't know,
Yeah.
but, okay.
They would love to see local support. I mean, they don't want to step on people's toes. At the same time, it's a purchase, if person A is selling it to person B, essentially, or organization A to organization B, so. Yeah, best of both worlds, they could buy it and keep it in agriculture. That's what I'd like to see. Probably all of us would.
I'd hate to see it turn into houses. so.
Right. Right. So, okay, well, more to come. Anybody else, any further thoughts or comments?
No, that's, pretty much what I was thinking of trying to do, get them to, at least talk to me about making some deal where we could keep it apart. That's.
Is that something we could
Yeah,
help?
Well, how can we help
could
you?
we help with that?
Yeah,
Well, they did say, well, we need support from the community in order to get involved in this type of thing or something. So we could say, well, hey, you can get our support if you can lean on them more or to rent this out or do something else like that.
Right,
Postponing the deal and reworking the whole deal, that's not gonna work.
Right.
Because that's gonna push it back another year. or something like
Sure.
that. But, I don't exactly know, well, you have to discuss it with this Honor Lawley, she's the one in charge of it. I've spoken with her, and she just, said, well, it's kind of out of my hands because we're gonna sell it to them and they're gonna do what they want with it. And so I don't really know, what else I can do, because, I mean, they already have the purchase and sale in hand, and they're just waiting, they're going through all their
yeah,
due diligence.
Can we send a letter saying we would support it if it stayed farmland? Just so they at least know our side of it.
yeah. Right, we could, yeah.
I wonder
Why
if
not?
that might be more impactful than a vote, because a letter might start dialogue, potentially. Not that a lot's gonna change, as you said, Dwight, but ultimately, if they get a letter saying we would support if,
Mhm.
maybe they'd come to a meeting, and then if you're at that meeting
Yeah, can
too,
we
then we
invite them to a
can,
meeting?
Sure,
Yeah. Yeah, maybe we
Possibly.
could work something out, yeah, maybe that was.
You never know.
A good idea.
Right,
yeah.
right.
All right. That sounds good. Thank you, Zach. That's a good idea. Let's do that. Okay. Well, staying in the realm of preserving land, 72 Mort Vining Road, former Art Pennell's place. The new owner, the owner bought it about a year ago, bought it from Art and has had it, that's gonna be houses there too. That's Oak Ridge Builders, they're the same ones developing property further down Mort Vining toward Granby. They're putting 40 houses, I want to say, in there, and like 20 on Art's property. They because it is it's in chapter 61A, and they've the owner Val Schvetz, I think his name is, informed, communicated with the town, he's gonna take it out of 61A. And he's asked the town to waive their right of first refusal. So the problem is timing. A year ago, when Art was gonna sell this, we tried to preserve that property. But it just didn't work out because they were keeping it in 61A at the time. It didn't really give the town an opportunity to, and the town meaning, like community preservation or one of those groups that would take it over. Now they're, so when there's a sale, the town has 120 days to exercise their right of first refusal, but when it's a change of use, it's only 30 days. And he was in touch with the town on January 24th, I believe. So it's already, the town would have to have another appraisal done. So I don't really see a way forward with trying to preserve that property. Conservation talked about it at their meeting on Monday, but they're kind of interested, but they didn't really take action. So I don't think there's much we can do unless somebody has a bright idea. It's a good learning experience because the way the process that has happened was not totally legit.
It seems a little tricky.
Yeah. When in these situations, the seller is supposed to inform the town that protected property is going to be is sold. It's supposed to provide a purchase and sale agreement to the town. In this case, the buyer did that. So really the town shouldn't have accepted that from the buyer. But they did, and we went around and around with the town council. There wasn't really much we could do. Another little bit sketchy thing here is that the purchase and sale said the price was $400,000, and then the public listing, it was $450,000, which we didn't know. So now there's gonna be an access road into this development, which is gonna go through some wetlands there, so they're gonna have to recreate the wetlands to allow for that access road. But I don't know. Marissa, looks like you want to say something.
Well, this is something maybe where I can segue into what I sent Jean and you earlier. Because of this particular scenario, because of the fact that this slipped through our fingers due to a lack of protocol, really. There is a procedure that was drafted maybe 7 years ago by Conservation Chair Chris Pratt at the time and Dennis Clark, modeled on other communities based on Massachusetts general law on what towns should be doing when this situation happens. So I reached out to Dennis and asked for a copy of that. I edited it to kind of align to Mass General Law today as we know it. And I sent a draft of that to you and Jean. I don't necessarily want to review it at this meeting. I wanted to mention it because this is something that, you can just bring it up, Jean, to at least show.
Yeah.
And get a review of. It's something that really should be kind of codified by the select board and also be reviewed by all relevant boards. So my hope would be is that perhaps at our next meeting, we can review this in a little bit more detail and then present it to conservation.
Is this it?
Yeah, so
Did,
here's the procedure. So here's a notification requirements from the landlord. This is what was not abided last time, in the case of Mr. Canal. There's a notification that we got, the purchase and sale at first, that was from the buyer. It needs to come from the, landowner. So if you scroll down, this is the set of, requirements that the town needs to be notified by the landowner. The bona fide offer mentioned is there, the conversion to, or intention to convert the land is there. If it's not to sell, then what are they gonna use the land for? Survey of the land, certified mail, but also letting select board know, board of assessors know, planning board, conservation, and, the state forester, so DCR. And then below that, the reason why this intersects with AdCom, I promise it does have something to do with us. The response from the town, when the select board then receives this, notice from the landowner, it asks for all this information from the assessor's office. They have to schedule a select board discussion and let boards know, relevant boards know, like AdCom, Board of Assessors, CPC, Community Preservation, which in this scenario had the money in their coffers to buy Art Canal's property. That's
Right.
why I refer to this slipping through our fingers. We could have bought it. The Conservation Commission, Historical Commission, Park and Rec, Planning Board. I don't know if anybody here can think of any other relevant land use boards that should be privy to receiving this information so that they can weigh in as to whether they would want to, express any interest in possibly preserving land. And then, kind of the rest of it is the technical details of what the town can do, exercise the option themselves, or give it over to a land trust, or decline. In that case, the property owner can kind of do what they want with it, but lining it out really clearly. So hopefully, like we didn't get notified this time around until quite late in the process with Arts Land, and we were kind of scrambling and we were
Right.
short for time. We did what we could. But ultimately, it's like, we all need to be on the same page in terms of town hall. And I think it's good for all of us, everyone's accountability. Because then you kind of start accusing this commission or that board of not giving you the information. Whereas if we're all on the same page and we all know what's supposed to be handed out to who, it's protection for everybody is the way that I see it. So, and for the landowner too, because in that case, they know who they're supposed to send things to, who's receiving what, who's weighing in on what. So I think it's for everyone's kind of well-being. So maybe if we can review this at the next meeting, and then discuss how to get this to appropriate boards, and then, review it with the select board and have the select board ultimately codify it. I think that's gonna be for everyone's best interest going forward.
Is there no consequence for not following the proper procedure? I mean, what's the point of having a procedure if you can just break it whenever you want?
I don't think there is necessarily one, which is why when this was initially pitched a few years ago and it was declined by the select board, from my understanding, I don't think there are ultimately any consequences, but I'm hopeful that the atmosphere in town has changed in terms of people just being more engaged and wanting to see things done in a different, kind of transparent way, hopefully, that everyone can get behind the select board, planning board, us, conservation, we can all work to get together towards the same goal. Hopefully that will be enough to inspire people to sign on to it, but I don't know, maybe not.
I mean, I don't think that we really have to penalize. With everything we've seen in the past couple of years, even, everyone loves this town. They don't want to see it go to hell. So I'm thinking, excuse my language, but no one wants to see this get turned into something like a mess. We want to see this town grow and flourish the right way, where our hearts are in it. And I think our local community is also on that same page. They'll step up as long as they know or have some kind of rules to at least guide.
And I think point well taken, Marissa, that it's the environment, so to speak, is a lot different now than it was 7 years ago. With these kinds of, there's a lot more people getting involved in issues around town and taking action. So let's go for it, you know? Let's talk about it in March, you know, finalize the document and then,
Yeah.
develop an action plan, you know, how to roll it out.
Sure.
I suppose eventually, if we have to, we can always take it to town meeting, you know? And make it a bylaw.
Right.
Not sure. But,
I mean, that's the only way you could enforce it.
right. Right. So. Okay. Well, thanks for that. Did you just send that today? Because I don't think I've seen that.
Yeah, I sent
Oh,
it like
okay.
40 minutes before this
Oh,
meeting, so.
okay. No worries. The AgCom budget was due last Friday and I just quickly submitted pretty much the same thing we did last year. I've asked for more money each year and each year we don't get it. But with things that we are talking about doing, the open farm day and you know, the farm trail and that's going to cost money. So I'm going to go back to them and say, you know, we need more money. And yeah, and give it a shot.
Yeah.
You know, I think what was I just going to say? In terms of the sort of the environment of the temperament, you know, the master plan survey, focus groups are all talking about agriculture, how important it is to preserve the heritage here. So it's a good time to, hopefully a good time to be taking these steps.
Yeah, but I think it's a good idea to have it in writing and have it, like Marissa said, because when it comes down in the end, money talks.
Right.
So sadly.
Yeah. Okay, some old business, our AgCom membership, you know, we have a couple, Anita and Marissa, I know you want to go from commissioner to alternate, so I do need some kind of written statement about that. A few, you know, another commissioner is Brett Colson, and I know some months ago Brett got a new job. We haven't seen him, and I don't even know when.
I don't think he's coming back.
Yeah, Marissa and Zach and I have all reached out and said, you know, Brett.
I actually spoke to him last week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Me
he's
too.
going to submit a letter of resignation because he can't keep up with the schedule, so that's
Okay.
coming.
Is he an alternate or a commissioner?
No, he's a commissioner.
Okay.
And we have,
Who's that?
yeah, he's a commissioner. I thought he was a commissioner, but anyway.
He's an alternate.
Oh, he's an alternate.
He was alternate, but he was the vice chair.
Yeah, I know, which is.
We'll
probably-
need a new
you
vice
probably
That's
chair.
just, that's a historical event or something.
It is.
Yeah, but in any case, it opens up, you know, a spot, and if you guys go to alternate, that opens, and we have some folks who want to join,
Exactly.
like Jessica right here and some other folks. And we even have people who don't necessarily want to join the commission, but who want to volunteer to help us. So that's awesome, you know. We just got to get some of these things kind of
Well, you, Dwight,
pinned down.
you'd be a good commissioner right there.
Yeah.
Or Karen, she can join too. Yeah.
I don't know if she might like that.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
All right.
Alex, Lucas.
Lily, we don't want to leave you out
Yeah,
either.
yeah. What do you envision volunteers looking like? Like, would they kind of be part of the meetings and just not vote and kind of help with tasks? Like,
They could certainly come to meetings. I think
Yeah.
it might be more like, okay, we're having open farm day and we need, you know, this, and this.
yeah,
But hopefully they would come to meetings sometimes,
yeah.
provide input. So do you think, in terms of Brett,
Should we give him until next meeting and then?
yeah, because
Yeah,
we could, I mean, with regret, we could vote him off. But I mean, how likely do you think it is we'll get his letter?
I say we give him until the next meeting.
Yeah. Fine.
Yeah, until the next meeting,
Give the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
yeah, if he submits that letter that he said he would in the next week or so, and if not, yeah, by March. And in the meantime, I can write my letter with the select board then, asking them to,
Yeah, just your intention.
okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
and just, you know,
Yeah, that's fine.
CC you?
Yeah, yeah, please.
Okay.
Yep. I
That'll
should
open up
mention-
more spots.
What?
That'll open up more spots for folks too, yeah.
And some folks like Jessica, like Angie Simone have already contacted select board saying that they're interested in joining. Another element here is, you probably know Carl Steinhardt's wife passed away a few weeks ago,
Yeah.
and that he's sort of the conduit to get things on the select board agenda. And so I was trying to get this on the agenda and then have them interview you, for example, Jessica, but it hasn't happened yet. So we'll get there.
Any update on the youth leadership? I know that Jessica had mentioned how we have that on the master plan. Like having
Yeah, I
a
don't have a,
youth commissioner, okay.
yeah, I don't have a update on that.
I'm sorry, I see that on the agenda now. Sorry, I skipped
No,
ahead.
that's all right.
About-
That's all right. But I don't know how we can make that happen, exactly. Maybe that's a question for a master plan meeting, since there are youth members on,
Yeah, it's possible. They did it.
yeah. And someone was asking me the other day how, we have commissioners and we have alternates. Oh, actually, it was Dave McWilliams from Conservation saying, how'd you get alternates? We don't, he wants, Conservation wants alternates too, because they have trouble getting, quorum. And I said, I don't know, it was before my time. It's the way the warrant read at the town meeting that created this commission.
Yeah.
So probably would have to go to town meeting to change the makeup of conservation. Sage, any new news on the website? I know you're working on it. Anything you want to chime in on?
Well, I mean, as far as the website goes, I put it on a halt until I get further, information that we can actually go forward with it. Because if
Okay,
I
yeah.
put too much work into it and get oh, well, by the way, they're not gonna let us, I'm gonna kind of feel, so I'm kind of holding up a little bit until I get an answer.
Yeah, gotcha. That's actually another thing I've been trying to get on the select board agenda. And this would be to have our own dedicated website for the agricultural commission, separate from the town website. The master plan committee has that, the economic development commission has that, and we just want to do some things that we can't do on the town site. So, okay, again, we'll get there. Speaking of the master plan committee, they've started holding. They did the survey and some visioning sessions, as they call them, at town hall. And now there's focus groups being held on different topic areas. Like the other day, or last week, they had a focus group on economic development. There's gonna be one on transportation, one on housing. They haven't all been scheduled yet. There's gonna be one on the schools. It might be at the school, I think. What was interesting at the Economic Development Commission, the economic development focus group, a lot of the same things came up there that came up at the farmers forum about businesses want to see more support from the town.
Mhm.
They need some help understanding, zoning and bylaws and that kind of stuff. I thought that was very interesting that those there's overlap there. So the focus groups they're kind of dedicated people are invited on, various people from various boards and commissions around town, like for transportation, it'd be Randy Brown from DPW, people like him. But the public can attend and you can provide input if you're so inclined. So that's kind of stay tuned. Again, the focus groups haven't all been scheduled yet. So we'll see. Anything on the community garden signs?
Yes, I have this quote from Southwoods.
I was gonna say, it's gonna need to be bigger than that, I think.
Yes, so $365.03 to get two 24 by 24 signs, and that would be with the design that we approved back in, I think, November, and
And sorry, what was that number? What was the?
$365 and 3 cents. I'll give it to Dean. Yes, 24 by 24, it'd be for two. Yeah, and this is for the design that we approved back in November and that conservation also looked at. I
Mhm.
presented it at their meeting. Even though I believe we'll be running with the expenses for it, but it has both conservation and AgCom on the sign, so just wanted to get their blessing for it by them. So that's good. There is going to be additional money required though, because that's just for the signs. That doesn't include the posts. I spoke with Kevin Solek on Concom about doing posts like the one he has for his Forever Farmland sign, who just has a really nice thick wooden sign that's, or wooden post that he's posted his signs to. So he said he'd be willing to help us do that. But I need to get some pricing and some specs from him in terms of how big that post is. And, yeah, that's gonna be an additional cost, and I'll go to IBS once I hear from Kevin on that.
The budget came out today. You have an available balance of $588.17.
And that can be used for the
When does
time.
that go away?
At the end of the fiscal year.
Yeah.
So we
You
have
got a
to-
date?
Yeah, end of April.
Okay.
I mean,
June.
June, July 1st.
No, because I know in the past we've hurried up and used some money because it was gonna go away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's, it goes away.
Yeah.
So you have the money for that.
May I make a photocopy of that, maybe Jean, so that if, I mean, did we vote to approve it? Maybe we should vote to approve that. And then I can go to Southwoods and move forward with
Sure,
production.
we should, since it's coming out of our regular
Right.
budget, not the gift account,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Or I can take a photo of it just to reference the number, so that we, thank you. Thank you.
So you wanna make a motion?
Yeah, I make a motion, to spend $365.03 on producing two signs for the Sofinowski Preserve to use on both sides of their entrances.
I second the motion.
Okay. So, Bert Hanson, aye.
Zach Barnett, aye.
Marissa,
Aye.
Ron, Dan,
Aye.
Manita,
Aye.
Sage,
Aye.
and Tammy.
Hi.
Okay. Good, thank you for that,
Sure.
Marissa. I don't have, update on youth members of the commission. Ag education, we talked about a little bit with Dan and Lucas, looking into what some other folks are doing that we might learn from.
So I talked last year when we were doing this FFA thing, I talked to a woman that's teaches in Suffield. And I wanted to kind of set up a, if we could go down there and see what they actually do.
Sure.
But she, she would have to come later at night.
Mhm.
I don't know, I'm thinking that'd be a good idea. We all go down there and look at it. Would you guys be interested in going?
Definitely.
We haven't done a road trip since Hilltop Farm.
I know,
Yeah,
that's
fun.
our first and only so far. I think we should do more of that. Okay, yeah,
Yeah, I'll try to get a hold of her,
okay,
because she could tell us a lot of stuff.
yeah. Okay,
And her father, I got talking to her, and her father was a dairy farmer the same time, mid to late 70s when I was in Suffield.
oh, okay. Okay, great, yeah, let's do it. I think we talked about this when we went to the Hilltop Farm, we can't do it on the regular meeting night, we can't do business
No, right.
during the field trip. So, just some other day of the week or of the month, yeah. Okay. So just a couple of FYI things, I got all the boards and commissions in town, I just got a Town Hall Emergency Plan Survey. And it was, you know, I don't know, seven pages of questions about, do you understand how to notify emergency dispatch? Do you have cell phone service in town? Are you aware of the town's crisis team and how to contact them if there's a threat of suicide, bomb threats? Have had training on how to handle a building intruder. Do you have a panic button in your office?
Times have changed.
Do you know the location of the nearest defibrillator, the nearest first aid kit? Have you been trained in CPR? And most of this stuff, I had no idea, you know, and I'm kind of guessing none of you do either. So I just wanted to bring this up. I did submit the survey, of course, and I'm assuming there's going to be some kind of follow-up, some information training, you know, something for us to be able to handle emergencies. So I'll let you know.
Is that for when we're in this building?
Right,
Okay.
yeah. Right.
Just for the record, I'm first aid CPR certified.
Okay. Good to know.
But then you gotta be here. every
Yeah, I
time.
was gonna say.
I know.
Do it over Zoom.
You're now on call.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, well, that's awesome, Tammy. Thank you. I didn't know that. And then last but not least. Where is this? Okay, the Rotary. Rotary International has made a pledge to encourage all their clubs to create pollinator habitat. It's called Operation Pollination. And I thought Rotary was more like business, but apparently they're in pollination too. So, yeah. So I got this from Dennis Clark. There's going to be a how-to session on February 23rd at 7 p.m. It's a webinar to cover some background on Operation Pollination, and then a presentation on how to create a pollinator garden. So just wanted to, I'm gonna go, but
Do you have a link?
we don't have it yet. I don't have it yet, but I'll send it
I'll
around
check that
to
out.
you guys, if you're interested. We had, there's some conversation a year or two ago about having some beehives at the community garden, but we got some pushback from some of the gardeners who had allergies or, you know, or just kind of not too comfortable with it. But, you know, wild pollinators, we do have a section of the garden for pollinators that could be better. So we might not put any beehives there, but we can
Yeah.
encourage the native pollinators. So, okay. That's the agenda. Anybody else have any other comments, questions? Yes, Marissa.
Really quickly, I wanted to say thank you to Big Y publicly for giving us a $50 gift certificate in January for our Farm Forum event. We used it to buy refreshments. We still have about $14 left on it. So if we do another Sophonasty cleanup day, we can buy bottled water. And they encouraged us to apply again after this fiscal year, because it's kind of based on that. So thank you, Zach, for bringing that to our attention. And
Other commissions can do it too if they have an event.
that's great. It's wonderful.
And is their fiscal year like our fiscal year?
I believe so,
Okay,
yeah.
So it's not the calendar year.
Yeah, we can apply again after June. So great resource to have. So thank you, Big Y.
Any other questions, comments from the public? We've kind of gone through quite a bit of stuff tonight. And again, I apologize for my voice being so croaky. But okay, so I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, and as I do at Master Plan Committee, we can just voice vote on this. So all in favor? Aye. Good.
Hi.
I'm gonna end the meeting for all. Have a
And
good
thank you,
night.
Tammy and Zach.